Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Believe it or not, here we are again for another great show. We're waiting for David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. He's running a little bit behind. Hey, Chloe. I know everybody's going to be piling in here in a little bit, but we're going to get started anyway. Of course, it's just another day in the Milky Way, but we got some good stuff. I got a video for y'all to watch tonight. So that's going to be interesting. Took a little trip, not down the mighty Mississippi. Oh, you like my puns. But anyway, we're going to do a little bit out of this book. And we're going to do a little bit out of this book. And if we really get some time, we're going to do a little bit out of this book. Tonight, we're going to talk about the housing. Of course, everybody likes housing because you live in one. And nobody, if you don't live in a house, you're homeless, but you got to live somewhere. And obviously you live somewhere. And of course the Indians, they had to live somewhere. And they lived in houses. And I'm going to start out from this book, and this is going to tell us where they started from. And this is the mythology of North America. And it's got a lot of good stuff in there. I think we've read out of this a few times. I can see the bookmarkers I got in there. So that's all right. And as David Null would say, greetings and blessings to all of you. But he will be around shortly. Don't you worry. Here we go. We'll start out with this. The earth and the sky. And this is what the beginnings of everything. It's called the heavy woman. The Hastadas of Western North Hadatsas. Yes, I'm going to pronounce this right and not butcher this name tonight. Hadatsas of Western North Dakota were the northernmost of the Plains tribes to grow corn and live in permanent villages. According to their mythology, adapted from the Mandan, they emerged from the earth carrying their garden produce with them. Lone Man was their teacher. I gotta have some extra light, guys. Sure glad y'all came along for the ride tonight. But yeah, I gotta have this little extra light or I can't see this stuff. Even with the glasses, I can't see. It's just kind of reflective, you know. Okay, the vine they had planted in the underworld had grown through a hole in the earth's crust. And it was this that they climbed as they made their way upward. One by one, many had already emerged when a pregnant woman began the ascent. Others still wanted below, but the woman was so heavy she broke the vine. And the result was that she had, and the rest of them remained in the underworld. In one of the Mandan accounts, virgins are mentioned as having made the ascent, and the heavy woman is said to have been forbidden to try. Hers was an act of defiance that resulted in the permanent separation of people, the lower group representing the dead, the upper the living. The same story has been recorded among the Lakota Sioux and is much weaker from among the Cheyenne. The old Kiowa version has it that the people emerged one by one through an hollow log somewhere far to the north. Oh, there he is. Okay, but the pregnant woman tried to squeeze through. She became stuck blocking the way for those behind her. With the insight of a poet, the modern Kiowa writer N. Scott Momaday had retold this myth in the memoir, The Way to Rainy Mountain, relating it to the sudden awareness he imagines having come over him at some point in his personal past. Yes, I thought that the earth as it is really is, never again will I see things as I saw them yesterday or the day before. Okay, so that was how they got here. And now we're going to go into some of what they lived in when they got here. Hey, there he is. How you doing?
Doing all right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, hobos and tramps, cross-eyed mosquitoes, and bow-legged ants.
Oh yeah. Well, don't worry. They're starting to pile in shortly. Chloe's here, and Andrew Phillips is here, and Alexander Ganja Shaman's here. Or he was. Anyway, they're piling. They're all over at Ryder Lee's listening to Chris from Forbidden Knowledge News. That's a good guest to have on. He's awesome. They were talking about mushrooms and having trips on mushrooms. Psilocybin adventures.
Psilocybin.
That's it. Anyway, quite the anyway, but I never did it myself. I'm sure you tried it.
Oh no, I didn't just try it. I had enough for about probably 50 people.
Oh wow. I
mean,
guess you're a professional then.
Over my lifetime, yeah, in a lot of ways, and I really don't like bragging about it. I mean, but I did do a lot of mushrooms. I could find mushrooms when nobody else could here in this local area.
Are they special mushrooms or just any kind of mushroom?
No, they're not. They are special. They are psilocybin, and there are different types of psilocybe type mushrooms, and a lot of them grow around cow dung and stuff. These particular ones need some type of cow dung environment for them to grow. It's just there are some mushrooms that grow in horse manure. I mean, it's.
So you mean when I had cows and all the mushrooms that used to grow out of the cow poop were probably those?
Not all of them.
Oh,
but there are a type that and they look totally different than the psilocybe. It's got a purple when it opens up. There's a collar around the stem, and it's purple. You can't mistake it. Now there are some that do that, and there is a ring around the collar. But it's a dusty kind of sort of brown. It ain't purple, and they mistake those for the psilocybin mushrooms. And I tell people, please don't eat those.
So do you eat them, or you grind them up? You dry them? How's that go? Not that you're a medical doctor. We're just doing this for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, but here's the thing: any kind of mushroom that you find, you can dry them. There's a lot of things that you can dry and then rehydrate them later on. And so that's what I learned to do. And it ain't real hard. You just take whether they're psilocybin or not, you take your mushrooms or whatever it is, lay them on a tray, cookie sheet kind of thing, or aluminum foil, if that's what you got. Or if you're really pioneering, you can lay them on a board. Okay. It's not, if you put it on newspaper or something like that, they may have a tendency to stick to the newspaper because of the moisture in it, and it's almost like a glue. But anyway, so what we would do is literally put them in the front seat of the car or the back seat. You don't have to put them in the sun, because even on a cold day, you can get the inside of a vehicle. So you just put them in there for about an hour and go over and open the door and reach in, kind of feel them. And they'll first get spongy as they dry, and then they'll start to get crispy. And depending on what you're going to use them for, what I did is I let them go a little crispy and turned them into a powder. And then I could put them in any kind of container. And then if I wanted to do some mushrooms, all I had to do was pour this powder out of the container with like a teaspoon or whatever measurement, either just chunk it in the back of my mouth and drink it, or put it in tea or stuff. Now, a lot of people make mushroom tea. And one of the things for anybody listening to this who might know somebody, don't do the stems, because there's a lot of strychnine in the stems. And people they give it really good colors, but they also mess with your stomach. And people say, oh, I had some mushroom tea, but it really messed with my stomach. Somebody threw the stems in.
So only the heads, huh?
Yes.
Just only the head.
And for anybody that is actually cultivating them in the wild, you never pull the stem out of any kind. You just put your finger, if this is the stem here, you put your finger in, put your thumb on top of the button and just lift it off and leave the stem, because that which the fungus that's attached that grew the mushroom in the first place is still there. So the active element of the mushroom, it can put another one up from the root of the, one. But if you pick the mushroom, then you take the, the root with it, nothing,
Yeah.
So over about 5 years, I cultivated mushrooms out of a cow pasture field that was literally like 10 feet from the house from where I lived. And so I was able to do a lot of, like, does this work? Does that work? For example, when I picked them, I always thumped them so that any spores that were on them would fall down and help regenerate. So there are things that people, if you really are serious, now this goes for wild mushrooms too, okay? It ain't just psilocybin mushrooms. So if people were more aware of how they do things, like when I was up in Tennessee over the summer with my my nephew, they do ginsenging up there, American ginseng. And he goes, look, he said, those of us up here, we know where to look. And we know not to take the young ones. We know, we know how to allow nature to provide for these. If there's a bigger one and a smaller one next door, you don't pull the little one, and you're careful with the big one, and so whatever anybody is foraging for food or medicine, you never take all of it, never. You never always pull it up. If all that you need are the leaves, then leave the stem and the root in the ground. If you need the root, maybe you can dig up around the plant and take part of the root and leave the rest there, rather than just pulling the whole thing up. So all of it is important that you do it with I'm trying to find the word, I can't figure it out. Companion, you work with Mother Earth. It's like, well, I don't need the whole tree, but I do need some of its root. So dig up around it and get it out, and just use what you need.
Well, but anyway, good advice.
And it's also, I found out that by doing that with things that I, really, I just do it because I don't need the whole plant, not going to dig it up, blah, blah, blah. It's like respecting the earth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not being wasteful.
Right. But it comes back on you in just nice little ways I just can't explain. But when you work with Mother Nature, with what she's already got out there, I don't know, it's like she then will keep bringing it to you. I guess it would be the way.
Well, that is really good advice. And I will have to look for those the next time I go into the cow pasture. Because they're probably everywhere. I don't know. But anyway.
Possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. So we're talking about shelter. Because if you're an Indian, you got to have shelter. They came up out of the earth in that book, and they had to have shelter. And we're going to talk a little bit about shelter. And I got a big surprise tonight. I went to walk around and I filmed some stuff and took some pictures. And we're going to talk about shelter tonight. Well, maybe we'll just share this right away. I wanted everybody to start getting in here. And I see we're getting a whole crowd. We got Zarlot's in here. Hey, buddy, what you doing? By gosh, he's all right. He gave me a heck of a good reading the other day. We got Lucky Smiths in the house, and Michelle Can-Am Free, our love girl. And then let's see, who do we got? Jill Jarrett made it tonight, and Isby's in the house, who's going to have a great show on Thursday with us, doing the Lost Book of King Og, Last of the Rephaim. So that's going to be awesome. Susie Q's in the house. Now, don't forget to go over to Isby's new channel called Isby Speaks, where he will be doing shows over there, and hopefully some good ones. And maybe I'll come over there on his channel. Well, I'll have to come and visit him on his channel now. It'll be a good thing. But it's called Isby Speaks. So Isby, you go ahead and leave here. I'm going to put you as moderate. There you go. And you get in there and put the link to your channel in the comments, okay? And so there you go. Here we go. Hang on. This and share. Okay, look at that. And that's what I went to see this weekend. This last weekend. And this is an Indian house in North Dakota. This is because, you know, before there was teepees and all of that stuff, you know, it gets cold out here, and you'd have, and I think we talked about this once. You mentioned this kind of a place once before, where there was a hole in the roof, you know, and it's a big mound, and
it would snow up to the point where the only way to get in was through the top.
Yeah, exactly.
So some of the stories that we told was where the girl went up the ladder through the smoke hole to talk to the sky god or something, and she got pulled out. But so that gives you an idea of like, okay, so you get 15 feet of snow and drifts, and you're on top of that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And look how
10 foot of snow, you're on top of it.
This thing was quite large. Here, I'll get to another spot. It was a good 15 feet tall. Here's the doorway. And as you can see, it's a pretty good sized door. Now, not to say that they were all like that, but it's the idea that it was like this. There I am. See, so look at, I'm a good 6'1", and there you can see that it you know, it's a good 15 feet tall. And there's a doorway. There's a buffalo skin hanging in front of the door and then as you get inside, there's the fire pit. There's a place to sit by the fire pit. You know, they had this robe up there and boards. There was logs across, probably to dry things, I assume. And there's the hole. There's the hole in the roof that you're talking about. You know, and you could see all the logs all placed on the pillars there. And then on those other ones, they laid branches and stuff. And then, of course, then there was all the dirt piled on top of that.
And they're remarkably strong.
See, now this is something I wanted to ask you about. See this thing, this box thing hanging from the roof? I couldn't figure out what that was for. I'm like, oh, it's for the lights. Or was that just because that where they stored the food or something? But you can see in the back, let's blow this up a little bit. You see in the back how it's all the small saplings or something thatched together to keep the dirt on the outside out. And then below here is just boards and stuff, or logs just laid up in there to keep stuff out too. And then this thing, I don't know why they had these things hanging there.
Zoom back in for me on the item.
Yeah.
All right, hold still a second. It looks like it's tied up with shoelaces.
Yeah, it's got.
Here's the thing. They didn't have furniture as we know it. Mm-hmm. They sat on the floor on blankets and things, and you know, there aren't any shelves, So
Yeah,
in a
there's snow
way,
shelf.
that's a shelf.
I see. That
So
makes sense.
you know,
There was multiples of these all hanging all over the place, as you can see. Here's a chair thing that they had to sit on. Now then they had this hole. See, and then they had this log, and then there's this hole. I don't know what that is for either. It's like a little cave under there.
yeah, do you see the notches in the log?
Yeah, it must be to climb up and out.
Yep. That's the ladder.
What is that for? Is that the shitter or the storage area? I don't know.
Where was it in the room?
It was like to the side. I don't know. It's just
It looks like it's charred on the bottom.
yeah. Oh, there's the Indian.
Well, here would be the thing that it might be that, you know, you burn wood and you can't get it out. You put your ashes and stuff in there until spring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also in that, you know, if you've got coals, you could throw your coals in there and it would warm the ground, and you could dry stuff over it, even slow cook over it.
Maybe
it might be that it's sort of
I don't know what
like,
that holds.
these days they have rocket stoves, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to put coals in the bottom of that and then put a clay pot over it, you could turn that pot into a what do you call it? Crock pot.
Oh, that could be. That could be. Okay. But
So
anyway,
the coals would stay, it would slow cook whatever's in the pot, and you know, and it wouldn't be sitting on top of the ground where somebody could knock it over.
that is true. Here's the picture from the village thing. I'll read this to you guys. With 168 days and 1,600 miles behind them, Lewis and Clark expedition arrived near the Knife River villages. Captain William Clark wrote, on October 27th, 1804, came to the village on the LS. This village is situated on an immense eminence of about 50 feet above the water in a handsome plain. It contains 40 to 50 houses of this kind of picket work. The houses are round and very large, containing several families, also their horses, which is tied on one side of the entrance. Yeah, when you go in the entrance, it had like a divider, you know, so you know, people were on one side and the other people were on the other. Upon the return from the Pacific Ocean in 1806, 3 days were spent here counseling with tribal leaders. August 14th, 1806, when we were up opposite the Minarets Grand Village, the big Hidatsa village, we saw a number of the natives viewing of us. Were directed and blunderbuss fired several times. Soon after, we came to at a crowd of the natives on the bank opposite the village of the Sioux Indians, or the Maharas, the Maharas village. I almost got it. At the which place I saw the principal chief of the little village, Sakawee village of the Minotaur, and the principal chief of the Maharas, those people were extremely pleased to see us. In August 17th, 1806, we took leave of T. Chambo, his Snake Indian wife, Sacagawea, and their child, who had accompanied us on our route to the Pacific Ocean in the capacity of interpreter and interpretees. So there we go. That was that. Oh, that's a better picture of it. And then there was this big drying rack out here. They had a big garden out here, and this was what they used to dry all their vegetables and things like that outside the house. So that was a drying rack. See, drying stages. A corn drying stage stood before every lodge. By far, the chief use of drying stage or stage was a dry vegetables, like you were just talking about, especially our corn and sliced squash. Firewood collected from the Missouri in the June during the flood season was often piled on and under the stage floor to dry. The keepers of the Okapia ceremony used to bring out their buffalo head mask and air dry them on the drying stage that stood before their lodge door. So there we go.
I would like to anyway, add.
Yeah.
There are similar type huts near Macon, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
And I was sitting here scratching my head trying to remember what tribe that was. But I've been up there. There is a tribal mounds and things around Macon. So if anybody's ever around Macon, Georgia, it's not very far out of town where these mounds, and they have very similar type huts. They're not the same, but you'd swear they had the same architect. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. The Hidatsa garden. Let's look at this. With simple tools, Hidatsa women grew corn, beans, squash, and sunflowers in the fertile soil along the Missouri and Knife Rivers. The sunflower, usually we planted sunflowers only around the edges of a field. We thought a field surrounded by a sparse row of sunflowers had a handsome appearance. Corn, we knew when corn planting time came by observing the leaves of the wild gooseberry bushes. This is the first of the woods to leaf in the spring. So there's your hint when you should plant your corn. Gosh, I didn't get a good picture of the bean. It says in the spring came to plant. I was careful of seeds. At other points, the seeds are fully ripe, but other good squash. Oh, I didn't get that whole picture. I don't think I got that. That's the last picture. They planted the squash. They didn't plant it. They planted it in the hillside, because if they planted it in the level ground, the soil would get beat down. That's right. So they planted them on the sides of the hill and stuff. And if you think scarecrow making was only back in the day, well, anyway, see, they even made scarecrows back in the day too. My grandmother turtle made scarecrows to frighten away the birds. She drove 2 sticks for legs, bound 2 other sticks for the arms, and top she fastened a ball of castaway skin. Such a scarecrow looked wicked. So there you go. So there, Hidatsa woman hoeing squash with a bone in 1912. Okay. Well, hang on. I got. Oh, I think I got to pull that up separate. Hang on. I got one more thing here. Okay, I think I got to pull it. Okay. Stop this. I got a whole thing here. We got a video to watch, and I got to see if I can get this video on. Oh, here. Okay. Optimize for video clip and roll. Okay, can you see that? There's my video of inside the shack. There's a close-up view of that buffalo skin. And there's the roof where the smoke would go out, and the logs. You can really see it on the video how good the logs were really stacked on those big beams, up and over and down.
And it looks. I've been inside the one of the places there in Macon, and I'm telling you, man, it looks. You'd almost swear it was the same place.
Yeah. I love this buffalo hide and the artwork on there.
But they don't have buffalo hides.
Oh.
In Macon.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they probably wouldn't. No buffalo there. No buffalo. But anyway, yeah, the different drawings on those. See, you can see in back, that's the little stable behind that buffalo tarp where they keep the horses. But I suppose down in Macon, they wouldn't have the thing for the horses either. so much. Look at that one. That's a fighting one. That one looks like a fighting one
And
too.
it's specific who they're fighting.
Yeah.
Because of the colors.
The greens against the reds. That guy looked like he died.
And he looks like a chief because of his headdress.
Yeah. I don't know what that thing was for, but it's all those little sticks put together. It's really kind of cool.
No, but it probably tells a story if you knew what it was about.
See, and there's the hole in the floor. Here we're coming up to the hole. See where the hole in the floor is?
Yeah.
See, there it is. Just the big hole in the floor.
Well, I'll tell you, if you couldn't get out in the wintertime and you had to go, if they put, a buffalo skin or something around it and squatted over the hole, they could cover it easily with ashes from the fire, which should help keep the smell down. And I mean, if it's freezing cold in the snow, you ain't going to want to go out there. You ain't going to want to go out there. So
well, I hope
could have
everybody
been a crapper,
enjoyed that.
honestly, and they just clean it out in the spring,
Well, yeah, you never know. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. See, I'm taking adventures and get to share it with everybody. And that was a trip of a lifetime there. They had a little museum, but it was closed. So anyway, yeah, we got all kinds of people piling in here. We got Organic Intelligence come to join us tonight. And yeah, everybody, thank you. AF's in the house. David Castle. David's in the house. And Little Wing 6 was 9. There we go. Thank you for coming. Sending love from Manchester, England. Awesome. I'm glad you could make it. It's up late at night in Manchester, but hey, we're up and going too. It's probably like 3 in the morning there. But thank you for dropping in. We got all kinds of good Indian stuff yet tonight. So let's see. So we're going to talk about shelters tonight. There's Linda Brooks. Linda Brooks emailed me, and she's got some Indian blood. I think she said some Cherokee or something and some Indian blood, but she knows all kinds of things about herbs and stuff. I'm going to invite her on the show with us some night. What do you think of that?
Okie dokie.
Yeah, she can bring some of her knowledge of whatever she wants to bring. But anyway, I'm going to talk about a shelter. A shelter is the key concern when it comes to survival of an individual or of the people. Design and construction depended on the value available resources and upon the other interpretives of usage in the cultural tradition. And as you've seen, there wasn't a lot of tree. Well, here in North Dakota, there's not much for trees. And most of the trees do grow down by the river. And as you can see, they used what trees they had and the little branches. And then there's plenty of dirt. So they used the dirt. And as I took the trip, went there, there was a path, and there was like 50 of those same things. There were just mounds out there where there was back in the day. They're gone now, but you could see the lumps. Okay, the first, there was a frame long teepee. First, a congressional framework of long, slender poles was erected to cover and raised into place. Then the edges of the cover were staked down, and the poles supporting the ears were put into place, and the ears are wings or flies to help keep the wind out of the smoke hole at the top. They were adjusted by the outside poles of a fire that was built near the center, and the beds were spread upon the ground around all the sides. The head of the family usually bedded near the rear, opposite or facing the door. Then there's bark covered teepees, and as you can see, here's a bark covered teepee. I suppose like they would make somewhere where they didn't have buffalo hides. It is important to note that the use of a teepee was not confined to the plains. The Ojibwe along the Great Lakes used it, but they covered it with birch bark, as also many of the Cree and tribes of Eastern Canada and New England. Even the Santee Dakota used birch bark for teepee covers to cover among the Lake Winnipeg Chippeways, and the teepee covering is also of birch bark, which, when readied for transportation, is in 7 scrolls. The largest and longest, when unrolled, reaches around the lodge poles at the ground from one side of the door to the other. The one next to it lengths fits around the lodge poles above the lower strip, lapping it a little over, and so to shed the rain, like, pile, you know what I mean, overlapping each other.
Right.
One a little shorter goes above this, and so onto the top of the cone. At the end of both ends of each strip, there is a lath-like stick of wood to keep the bark from fraying and splitting. The pieces of which these strips are composed are neatly sewed together with tamarack root. There are no wings or ears around the smoke hole of this kind of a lodge, but these are not needed. A teepee-like skin-covered tent was in general use among the Indians of Labrador and the westward throughout Canada. In the west, the plains teepees was found among the Neds Pierce, Flathead, Cayuse, Almera, and the southwest. It was found among the Apache. It is nearly impossible to determine what tribes first originated this type of shelter. Through the comparison of the details of structures might give some defined clues, yet it is clear that there is especially adapted to growing life of the plains tribes were pursuing the buffalo. Okay, now we get into the earthen lodges. Before going any further, we must remember that the teepee was not the only type of shelter in use by the Indians. The Mandans, the Hidatsas, the Arikara lived in more or less permanent villages of sod earth-covered lodges. The following description of the Hidatsa house may serve as a type. Okay, and then I didn't tell us a little about that, but we just looked at a Hidatsa house, so we know what that is. Okay, then there's the framing and earth lodge. And there we go, there's our picture. Let's see that. I probably didn't show it long enough. Sorry, everybody. Oh, okay. Framing and earthen lodge, a number of sprouts, posts from 10 to 15 according to the size of the lodge, raising it to height about 5 feet above the earth's surface of the earth, were set above 10 feet apart in the circle, as we've seen. It says then towards the center of the lodge, 4 more posts were erected, as we've seen in the pictures. The outer posts are rising to height or 10 or more feet above the ground. These 4 posts stand in the corners of a square of about 15 feet, and their tops are connected with 4 heavy beams laid horizontally. From the 4 center beams, the smaller external beams, the poles. And as we've seen, oh, did I close that? I closed it, didn't I? Oh, crap. I was going to say, yeah, because, okay, here. Remember we were talking about the beams of the house. So, okay. And share. And this was the beams inside the house. Yeah. Okay. Oh, crap. It ain't gonna let me do that. Okay. So I have to do this. And so there we go. See the big beams and then the cross members. These were those big beams. There, you can see that really good. That's the inside of the house. They made the big beams and laid everything over the top of it. So, so we'll skip over that one. Well, we already seen that because I got pictures. Then we got dome-shaped lodges. The Osage, on the other hand, I'm sure I've said that wrong again, are credited with the use of a dome-shaped wigwams covered with mats and bark like the Ojibwe. And the Hadat are covered with mats and bark like the Ojibwe and other woodland peoples. The Hidatsa type of lodge is, unlike the teepee, definitely localized among the Missouri and the Platte, and suggested it must have originated within this territory. The Omaha claimed to have originally used teepees and to have learned the use of earthen lodges from the Arikara. However, many tribes use teepees when on summer and winter buffalo hunts. Then we move over to sod houses. course, you use the material that you got at hand, right?
That's right.
The Pawnees, Arikaras, and the Mandans built large sod houses. The Wichitas built beehive-like dwellings of grass, and Hogans of the Navajos were of brush and sticks. Both walls and roofs of the house of the Northwest Coast Indians are made of shakes, splits from the cedar on the whole, and the difference between the homes of the various tribes is very great. You use what you got. Then we got wooden houses. And some of the Santee Dakota peoples lived for a part of the year in a rectangular cabins of bark and poles, as did many of the eastern woodland tribes in their long houses. In the west, an oval or conical brush and grass shelter seems to have preceded the teepee. The Comanche used both this western type of brush lodge as well as the teepee. The northern Shoshone mixed brush and bark lodges as well as teepees in the same camp. The western tribes raised maize and other crops, used earth or bark houses, but as a rule lived in them only while planting, tending, and harvesting the crop. For most part, the natives of the West lived in skin lodges. This was partly because these dwellings were warm and dry, and the material for construction was easily obtained, but was especially because they were light and convenient and could readily be moved about from place to place, and were so, in that respect, well suited to the needs of the nomadic people. But not all the Indians were dwellers in tents. By contact and evolution of the house had progressed far beyond the single room shelter of grass or bark skins. Many native people of the East, that's your area, had large connected houses of poles, which were sometimes fortified. The Pawnees and the Mandans built great sod or dirt houses in which many families lived in common. The sleeping places around the walls were separated by permanent wooden partitions with a curtain or hide or cloth suspended in front of each, so that is to form an actual room. Mobile homes. They had mobile homes back then. Oh my God, trailer trash, people. Various traditions suggested that these tribes, who are at the time of contact lived in portable lodges, either bark or hide, once had permanent houses, and that our nearly exclusive use of skin lodges among the plains people may have come about in comparatively recent times. The coming of the horse and the expansion of cultures based upon the buffalo was a premium on mobility, and many of these tribes may have lived on the plains for a short time only, say 2 or 3 centuries, having migrated from some earlier homeland. It seems probable that at some of those people we have come to regard as nomadic may have lost different arts of building which they had once practiced. Indeed, many of them must have traditions of a time when they lived in permanent dwellings, though usually the stories are so vague that a little can be gleaned of the character of those dwellings. The Pawnees say that in their ancient home, which was probably on the Pacific slope, they dwelt in houses built of stone. Okay, and then we go to the Pueblos. Far to the south, the people of the Pueblo culture lived in many-roomed, many-storied houses, many of stone, one dwelling but to another, which may be the most complex style of dwelling among the Native Americans north of Mexico. This design made sense in a climate that tended to be hot in the daytime and cold at night. These communities were so highly dependent on agriculture, so a more or less fixed residence made good sense. And then, of course, we travel all the way up to the Arctic and subarctic dwellings. The Inuit and other people of the far north built their more or less permanent dwellings by digging a large pit well into the ground during the short summer and constructing a dome latticed of wood and bark over it. Soon as the snow came and covered all of it, making for a snug and cozy dwelling. Enter and exit was through a hole in the top and from within, accessed by a ladder. Boy, doesn't that sound familiar? Just like you were talking about. When following the caribou herds, the hunters lived in dome tents of bent, dried poles, all covered with tan caribou skins. The whole thing was easily taken down and loaded on a dog sled when the herd moved on. And of course, we can't forget the igloo. Despite the popular idea, this shelter was not universally used by the peoples of the far north. Oh, you just burst my bubble. Only certain Arctic groups built igloos, and then only during the seal hunting season. Building a simple igloo, make it out of circular. Okay, that talks about building an igloo. Okay, and then we have North Coast lodges. The Native Americans of the North Coast built their lodges employing a post and a beam construction, more like a regular house, with sheeting of shakes, boards split from the plentiful wood of the region. Again, using the material that you got at hand. These houses might be very simple, shelter-like affairs, or they might be considerably more lavish, with dugout interiors and ornate plank flooring. The general design within the dwelling was a reminiscence of style of traditional Japanese architecture and bespeak obvious cultural contact. And as you can see, there's looks like a regular house.
That's the longhouse,
Yeah.
and thus the name.
Yeah, that's the name, longhouse. Okay.
And let me add this little tidbit after looking at that. There's a lot of shows and stories about the Vikings, and the Vikings all have, guess what? A longhouse, the grand house. It is, a lot of them just look like that using, local materials. So it wasn't just North American Indians, but they used similar styles. And I often wonder, was there like a grand architect that dropped off plans to different tribes around, because some of the Mongols out on the steppes of Russia and China, they built houses with sticks and hides and stuff. And, there's so many similarities with the structures and how they were made with hide or grass or whatever. I sometimes wonder, but here to another point though, if all of these native peoples centuries and thousands of years ago all tapped in to the universe, then Creator could have given them all the same plans.
That's true.
Around the planet and said, hey, some guy woke up from a dream and said, hey, y'all, I had this vision of this box, and we're all going to stay in it in the wintertime and stay warm. Ooh, we won't have to crawl through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and the thing is people are people. And regardless of which way you think about it, they're going to use the materials that are around them. And then they're also going to use, it's basically a house is the same idea anywhere you go, except for like the Pueblos, they were building cities, houses on top of houses made of stone or clay, because that's what they had available. They ain't going to go cut cactuses and put them together, and there was no trees. So what are you going to do?
And where some of the I can't remember what you were reading about the sod houses and stuff, that they were getting ideas from the Mexicans who were traveling north and the different tribes and going up into the plains. And so they were like, oh, you mean you guys dig a hole and make a house? And we're like, yeah, watch this.
Yeah, you only have to see it once. And then, hey, I was down there. I seen that and looked good. Let's do that. Okay, well, now we go over to the Gulf Coast dwellings. And of course, it's hot down there. Native Americans like the Florida Seminoles and other Gulf Coast people tended to live a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. Their houses were correspondingly simple. A roof of reeds to keep out the rain and raised platform to secure them from the flood. Flood, you know, yeah, you don't get.
They didn't
Yeah.
use reeds. That's a lie. They used palmetto fronds, but
Yeah. Huh. Well, there you go. Yeah.
reeds, bananas. It would take you forever to get enough reeds. You can go out and collect, I got palmetto bushes and stuff in my backyard. I mean, it don't take no time at all to gather a couple of some palmetto fronds and make yourself a dwelling that will if you do it right and overlap it, it'll keep out the rain.
Well, if you looking at the Europeans, they use thatched roofs, take the straw or whatever and make a thatched roof.
And all of the islanders in the South Pacific, no matter where you go, they got thatched roofs and things, and so it's a worldwide. Man learned how to use what he had.
Absolutely. Well, you know what next week is going to be? It's going to be transportation, canoeing. So there you go.
Oh my God, one of my favorite subjects.
I know. You're going to be right on to that one. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I got one more here. Not to take up a lot of time. You got stuff picked out? Where is this one?
I don't
know. Here. While we're on that one, we got the wigwam people. And there's some of the pictures of their houses with the bark over the top. Now we know it's the bark over the top, right? And we know it's sticks with bark over the top to make your wigwam.
If you didn't know which tree to get the bark from, you could very well be barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah. Well, my thought is how do you get all that bark to stretch all the way around the thing? Yeah. Interesting. Let's see. I'm just going to read a little bit of this. Otherwise, it's going to get real lengthy.
Let me give you a little quick clue. They make plywood now.
Yeah.
To where they the tree, it digs into the tree a certain amount and they roll the tree and it peels it.
Yep.
So depending on the tree, they may have learned how to peel the bark off in several layers.
Oh yeah.
Just want to throw that out there. I don't know, but that makes sense.
That's true. That is true. It says, let's see here. My thing. It says here, for thousands of years, the northern part of the United States from the Atlantic across to the Rocky Mountains was occupied by tribes of simple hunters speaking languages of the family we call Algonquin. Their territory was extended far into Canada. It was in the east, reaching to Hudson Bay and covering all the subarctic except the narrow strips of coast held by Eskimos. Among the eastern Algonquins, two physical types can be recognized. The older type is long-headed. To them in prehistoric times was added a round-headed group. The two mingling together, the longheads at least were very early immigrants to America. In this chapter, we are concerned with the Algonquins east of the Mississippi and primarily with the ones lived along the coast. Almost all these tribes, when they were first met by the white man, built wigwams, which are dome-shaped frames made of bent poles covered with bark where bark was plentiful, birch bark whenever good birch bark could be had, or with rushes tied on, or with woven mats or combinations of these materials. A small wigwam can be built quickly, but is not in itself a mobile dwelling. A few of the Algonquins, even near the coast, also made a dwelling with this form of teepee. A number of poles are arranged to form a cone, which instead of skins is a common type of teepee. Bark is laid and held in position by placing more poles on the outside. Oh, that's how they got the bark to stay. Then the framework can be easily taken down and moved from place to place. Such teepees are found mostly among Canadian tribes. Unless there exists an exceptional concentration of game hunting, tribes are likely to live spread out in family groups or in small bands. A whole tribe seldom assembles the scattered groups lose touch with each other. Their manner of speech is likely to change or develop, and they develop into separate tribes. Their organization is loose and informal. Usually, you do not find chiefs with any authority, although in any band there will be a man who is listed or listened to by others because of the wisdom and experience. This was the case with the Eastern Algonquins originally. And so there we go with the wigwams and the Algonquins and fairly peaceful. Okay, the Algonquins in Canada, who were still lived in old manner when the white man discovered them, were fairly peaceful. Nobody had taught them that war was glorious. They had no special cause for fighting and hunting except the men, keep the men busy. History brought about great changes in life of the Algonquins in the United States. The civilizing influences from Mexico with their strange blend of corn, cruelty, and advancement brought many of them a much richer way of life. Undoubtedly, much art as farming, pottery, and some simple weaving reached the Algonquins in the ancestral days of the Ardena and Hopewell mound builders. When the white man came, the Indians of the coastal regions were in touch along the line, either with the Iroquois or with the powerful southeastern tribes in varying degrees. Much more of what, as one went south, less as one moved north. They showed the southeastern influences, and so forth and so on. So they were all influenced by the white man when white man came. So anyway, that's my bit on housing this week. Very interesting, I think. I learned a bunch. Like I said, I had a good trip, good experience, and I got to share it with all of you, so it was well worth it. There we go. I had a good weekend, and there you go. So, what do you got for us tonight?
You got your book ready?
I got books ready. You just hold on. I'll make sure. Yep, I got. Okay. Everybody's in the chat. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just checking to see we got who's in. Anybody else in chat that I missed? Elderberry's in the house. There we go. Hope you're all enjoying this. There we go. What page are we going to today?
Go down to the 360 area and beyond. I'm looking. I was on the page and then turned it. 375.
Oh, I just got the 360.
Well, but it's just a little further.
I know. I just passed it up.
Oh, you passed it. Oh,
yeah. I was going. I was like, oh, I was down in the 380s, and it's like, oh, okay. How to scare a bear? Is that it?
Yep.
All righty.
How about that?
How about that? Let me see if I can make this bigger.
So of all the things in the world to do, we should learn how to scare a bear. So for all of you who are out there right now, I wish to say greetings and blessings. And we all keep praying for each other. It's tough out there. So, maybe learning how to scare a bear is the best thing for you at the moment. All right. I'll quit funning around.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. I'm good. I got it up now. I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right. So, how to scare a bear. Tiwa. Long ago and far away, this did not happen. On top of Red Rock Hill lived a little rabbit. Prickly pears were his favorite fruit, and every day he would hunt for them along the east bank of the Rio Grande. Eventually, he ate all the prickly pears on that bank, so he cast his hungry eyes across the river. He said to himself, I'll bet plenty of them grow over there. How am I going to get across the river to look? The rabbit knew the river was too deep and too wide for him to swim on his own, and he sighed. Oh, how I wish that Uncle Fastwater, who moves the current, were here to take me across. Fastwater heard and replied, Child, I'm laying right here. What can I do for you? The little rabbit leaped towards the sound. Uncle, so this is where you live. Yes, this is the place, said his uncle. What kind of work do you want from me? I want to cross the river to pick prickly pears. But the water is too deep and too wide for me. Will you help me get across? Fastwater agreed. So the little rabbit sat on top of his head. Splash, splash, splash went the water, and quickly the two were on the other side. Be sure and call me when you want to come back, Fastwater said when they landed. The rabbit wanted to get home before night fell, so he wasted no time but went right to picking and eating prickly pears. Then Brother Bear appeared. Little rabbit. Yes, Brother Bear. My, what pretty necklace you have. Isn't it? Yes. Well, I want to make a bet with you for that necklace, said Brother Bear. I'm willing to bet my red necklace for yours. If I win, you'll give me yours, and if you win, I'll give you mine. Little Rabbit agreed, and they arranged to meet at noon the next day in the same spot. That afternoon, the little rabbit returned to the river, and his uncle easily carried him back across the water. Turn the page. Tomorrow you must wait for me, Uncle. I have placed a bet with Brother Bear, and I'll need you to carry me across the river again. I'll wait for you, replied his uncle. I know you'll win. The next day, the little rabbit got up early and hurried to meet Brother Bear. Because of his early start, he arrived first and decided to stroll in the woods. As he was hopping around, he spotted an old horse bell that still had a dried up piece of leather tied to it. He hung it around his neck, and with each jump, the bell went clank, clank. The little rabbit said to himself, I think this bell will come in very handy with Brother Bear. And he hid the bell carefully in the woods. When noon came, Brother Bear appeared. Oh, you're here early, he said. Yes, answered the little rabbit, but he said nothing more. The two picked a place in the dense wooded area to have their contest. And then Brother Bear made a circle on the ground with a stick. Little rabbit, you can go first, said Brother Bear. Oh, no, said the little rabbit. You wanted to bet, and you should go first. Oh, no. Yes, I'll go first. I'll bet I'm the braver of us two. See that circle? You sit in it, and if you move even a little from where you're sitting, I win. Little rabbit sat down, and Brother Bear took off into the woods. A few minutes later, the rabbit heard strange sounds. Ah, 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 tweet, tweet, tweet. Ah, ah, tweet, 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 tweet. I know that's Brother Bear, thought the little rabbit. He's trying to scare me, but I won't move. Closer and closer came the strange sounds. Suddenly, with a crash, a great big tree came tumbling down and barely missed the little rabbit. You moved, I saw you move, shouted Brother Bear. No, I didn't move. Come and see for yourself, answered the rabbit. Brother Bear couldn't find any footmarks and had to agree that the little rabbit had not moved at all. Little Rabbit said to Brother Bear, now you must sit in this circle as I did in yours. The rabbit drew a circle and Brother Bear sat in it. Leaving Brother Bear sitting in the circle, the rabbit headed into the woods. He just put the old horse bell around his neck and headed toward the place where Brother Bear was waiting. After he had hopped a few steps, the little rabbit stopped, rang the horse bell, and sang, "Ah, na 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 na, na 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 na, it's Johnny, cha na na na, too high. Where are you sitting, my bear friend?" When Brother Bear heard this, he thought, "That's not my friend, little rabbit. There is something else altogether." Coming closer to the circle where Brother Bear was sitting, the little rabbit rang his horse bell louder and sang his song once more. Brother Bear, growing really frightened, stood up and ran. The little rabbit jumped out and called, "You've lost. Let me have your necklace." As the story goes, the little rabbit defeated Brother Bear. And today, if you see a rabbit around the Tiwa country, and if he has a red ring around his neck, you can be sure that the rabbit is descended from the little rabbit who won Brother Bear's pretty red necklace. Translated from the Tiwa by Alfonso Ortiz.
Well, ain't that something? Ha!
Ain't that a cute little story?
Yes, it is.
All right, we got time for one more?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good night, Susie Q. She's saying good night. Oh, she's probably got the grandkids or something or whatever. But, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, it's late, it gets late night. People got to sleep. This was, anyway, yeah. It's a good night.
All right, skip a page. Please. Say that again. Skip a page.
Yeah, absolutely.
To 379. Doing a trick with eyeballs.
All right. Okay.
Now, doesn't that just sound like fun? Hey, son, what are we going to do? We're going to have fun with eyeballs. Come on in. Come on in the teepee, y'all. We're going to have fun with eyeballs. Now, if in an odd way, though, don't young children, well, maybe not today, but we as kids played marbles and cat's eyes.
Oh, yeah, I remember having marbles and cat's
eyes.
But
ain't that eyeballs, but not?
I remember all the different, I probably still got marbles from back in the day. There were, oh man, you had the big marbles and little marbles and the cool looking ones with the swirlies in them. And oh, geez.
Yeah. Used to collect them and trade them and all that stuff.
Yep.
But anyway, so here's doing a trick with eyeballs, but in just pondering this, I'm like, that sounds silly, but kids in our days played with marbles. But anyway. Doing a trick with eyeballs, Northern Cheyenne. Viho is like some tourist who come into an Indian village not knowing how to behave or what to do, trying to impress everybody. One day, Viho met a medicine man with great powers. This man thought to amuse Viho and himself with a little trick. "Eyeballs," he shouted. "I command you to fly out of my head and hang on that tree over there." At once, his eyeballs shot out of his head and in a flash were hanging from a tree branch. Viho watched open-mouthed. "Ho! Eyeballs!" cried the medicine man. "Now you come back where you belong." And quick as lightning, the eyeballs were back where they ought to be. "Uncle," said Viho, "please give me a little of your power so that I too can do this wonderful trick." To himself, Viho was thinking, then I can set up as a medicine man, then people will look up to me, especially good-looking girls, and then people will give me many gifts. Why not, said the medicine man. Why not give you a little power to please you? But listen, Viho, don't do this trick more than 4 times a day, or your eyeballs won't come back. I won't, said Viho. Viho could hardly wait to get away and try out this stunning trick. As soon as he was alone, he ordered, Eyeballs, hop on that ledge over there, jump to it. And the eyeballs did. Viho couldn't see a thing. Quickly, eyeballs, back into your sockets. The eyeballs obeyed. Boy, oh boy, Viho said to himself, what a big man I am. Powerful, really powerful. Soon he saw another tree. Eyeballs, up into that tree, quick. For a second time, the eyeballs did as they were told. Back into the skull, Viho shouted, snapping his fingers, and once more the eyeballs jumped back. Viho was enjoying himself, getting used to this marvelous trick. He couldn't stop. Twice more he performed it. Well, that's it for today, he said. Later, he came to a big village and wanted to impress the people with his powers. Would you believe it, cousins? He told them. I can make my eyeballs jump out of my head, fly over to that tree, hang themselves from a branch, and come back when I tell them. The people, of course, didn't believe him. They laughed, and Viho grew angry. It's true, he cried. You stupid people, I can do it. Show us, said the people. How often have I done this trick? Viho tried to remember. 4 times? No. The first time was only for practice. It doesn't count. I can still show these dummies something. And he commanded, Eyeballs, hang yourselves on a branch of that tree. The eyeballs did, and a great cry of wonder and astonishment went up. There, you louts. Didn't I tell you? Said Viho, strutting around, puffing himself up. After a while, he said, All right, eyeballs, come back. But the eyeballs stayed up in that tree. Come back. Come back, you no good eyeballs. Viho cried again and again, but the eyeballs stayed put. Finally, a big fat crow lighted on that tree and gobbled them up. Good, said the crow. Very tasty. The people laughed at Viho, shook their heads, and went away. Viho was blinded now. He didn't know what to do. He groped through the forest. He stumbled. He ran into trees. He sat down by a stone and cried. He heard a squeaking sound. It was a mouse calling other mice. Mouse, little mouse, cried Viho, I am blind. Please lend me one of your eyes so that I can see again. My eyes are tiny, answered the mouse. Much too tiny. What good would one of them do? It wouldn't fit. But Viho begged so pitifully that the mouse finally gave him an eye, saying, I guess I can get along with the other one. So Viho had one eye, but it was very small indeed. What he saw was just a tiny speck of light. Still, it was better than nothing. Viho staggered on and met a buffalo. Buffalo brother, he begged, I have to get along with just this one tiny mouse eye. How can a big man like me make do with that? Have pity on me, brother, and lend me one of your big, beautiful eyes. What good would one of my eyes do you? Asked the buffalo. It's much too big for your eye hole. But Viho begged and wept and wheedled until the buffalo said, Well, all right, I'll let you have one. I can't stand listening to you carrying on like that. I guess I can get by with one eye. And so Viho had his second eye. The buffalo bull's eye was much too big. It stuck out of its socket like a shiny ball boys like to play with. It made everything look twice as big as his own eyes had. And since the mouse eye saw everything 10 times smaller, Viho got a bad headache. But what could he do? It was much better than being blind. It's a mess, though, said Viho. Viho went back to his wife in the lodge. His wife looked at him. I believe your eyes are a little mismatched, she told him, and he described all that had happened to him. You know, she said, I think you should stop fooling around, trying to impress people with your tricks. I guess so, said Viho. Told by Rachel Strange Owl in Bernie, Montana in 1971 and recorded by Richard Erdos.
Wow. Very good. Very good.
So what does it give you, to learn all these tricks to end up like, careful what you wish for.
Yeah, so much. Oh my. Yeah, exactly. Desert Rose is in the house. Haven't seen Desert Rose in a long time. Thank you for coming. I'm sure she always watches, but but yeah, that was a good story. Don't wish for, if follow the directions, put it that way. How many people don't follow the directions? Oh, take a little bit, but don't go too far. At least that's what I get from it.
Right, right.
And you have to always do stuff to impress people. And that's the next thing, is it really that important? I mean, it could wreck your whole life just to impress people. People like you either way.
And there are so many native in all different kinds of cultures about, the man who bragged too much kind of thing, and how it, literally bit him in the butt. It just came back around. And so, and it's always a good moral thing to remember, be as good as you can be, but be humble about it. And people will see it more than if you tried to brag about it all the time. Well, there's that damn bragger again. He's always talking about his stuff and how good he is. And if you listen to it from their ears, if you listen to how you what some folks say, because I went through a period like that myself years ago, where nobody seemed to be paying attention to me at all, and my ideas were really good ideas, and they just didn't want to listen. No, just go away, whether it was good or not. So, but the thing it was my attitude. Well, you got to listen to me. My idea is really good. I know it'll work. And if you have that kind of approach, folks just, they're turned off already.
Yeah.
So, but when you do good work and you're honest and you are humble about it, but confident without being, smarmy about it. So this idea, that, trying to prove to other people just how good you are. And then when it comes time to prove yourself, your eyeballs are stuck in a tree, and crow come along and eats them,
That's right.
And we would rather not have that.
That is exactly right. Well, I'm going to ask him to do some thinking here. What am I thinking? Yes.
Already had them ready.
I know. Good deal.
I already had them ready.
Delaney Pearl Jones is in the house. We're going to have another show with Delaney here coming up the 1st of April or so. I forget which day exactly it is. And we got Isby, who's going to be on Thursday, is in the house. He says, ask Hawkeye if he's going to do a show tonight. Are you doing a show tonight after this?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought that far.
All
It's been
right.
a busy afternoon, and I just hadn't got that far. I barely got here.
Yeah, that's the first time you've been late. Oh no, you overslept that one time.
Yeah,
That's right.
but I was here.
Yeah,
I
yeah, you
physically
was.
wasn't here.
Yeah.
You know, we was in town. But
Mhm.
while I'm shuffling these cards now, y'all out there tonight, just send me the message. What kind of message do you think we should get? Okay, just in general.
Okay.
I don't wish for anything, but if there's someone out there who needs a card,
there usually is.
yeah,
There usually is.
yeah, we usually pick somebody goes, wow,
Yeah,
that card's for me, you know.
Absolutely.
And I'm extremely honored and blessed that the cards and each time we do these, we seem to hit it.
Oh, we
and
do.
I say we because it ain't just me. But I'm looking for the book. Okay. All right. So y'all think your thought. I'm rummaging through the cards right now. So.
Okay. I'm thinking. I got my thinking cap on. I'm thinking.
Oh, what a good message for tonight, I think. All right. For those who may or may not need it, know it, or whatever, we got a twofer tonight. It's owl and whale.
Whale. Wow.
Yes. We have a winged and a mammal. Owl and whale. Oh, this should be fun.
Yeah. We haven't had whale
in a long time. And
yeah.
owl's kind of been a little in between.
Little hoo quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. Owl and whale. Now, they both came in upside down, but my messenger is saying, yeah, but you were holding the deck wrong. So I'm going to read both. Okay. Where normally I might skip to the upside down or not read it. They're saying, nah, I need to do both. So anyway, let me find the page. Interesting. Looking at the cards, owl is number 21 and whale is number 41.
Interesting.
Yeah, just as like,
whale, beautiful. Good one.
I pulled the owl card first, but they want me to read whale. So let me go to 41.
That's what Duggar's saying.
Yeah, Duggar's out. There's company outside and he's having a ball. Record keeper. The whale. I hope this all applies to you in some way. I honestly do. And with prayers to everyone, here we go. Whale of mighty oceans, you have seen it all. Secrets of the ages are heard within your call. Teach us how to hear your words and how to understand the very roots of history of when our world began. Record keeper. Whale is very much like a swimming library. Whale carries the history of Mother Earth and is said to have been placed here by the ancients from the dog star Sirius. Biologists say that whale is a mammal and very possibly lived on land millions of years ago. In tribal legend, whales' move into the ocean happened when the earth shifted and Lemuria, the motherland, went below the waves. All of our petroglyphs speak of the motherland Mu, the disaster that brought the red race to North America from the west, beyond the great waters. The symbols in the petroglyphs speak of the rivers and mountains crossed by our ancestors when they sought solid ground as the water receded. Whale saw the events that led to the settling of Turtle Island, which is North America, and has kept the records and knowledge of the motherland alive. It is said that Mu will rise again when the fire comes from the sky and lands in another ocean on Mother Earth. That's just a strange sentence right there, and lands in another ocean, because everything is said that the big one hit off the Yucatan in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
So, and we've got a lot of stuff out in the universe right now that's sort of like incoming.
That's right. That's right. Good. It's
so,
words
I mean,
of wise there.
Really,
huh?
who knows, right?
Yeah.
It is said that Mu will rise again when the fire comes from the sky and lands in another ocean on Mother Earth. The native medicine people are waiting for this event as the next sign of Earth changes. Earth's children will have to unite and honor all the ways and all the races in order to survive. Whale medicine people are coded with their DNA to understand that sound frequencies can bring up records in the memories of ancient knowledge. They are usually clairaudient or able to hear both very low and very high frequencies. They are usually also physically developed and fairly telepathic. Many times, however, they are not awakened to their gifts until it is time to use those stored records. So many of us, have this great awakening. There are still folks who are looking for the great awakening. And sometimes in our DNA, it just ain't time yet. It just simply ain't time yet. What good grammar, eh? Many whale medicine people are able to tap into the universal mind of Great Spirit and have no idea how or why they know what they know. Now, my interjection is this. Some people call that the Akashic record. Each one of us has got our own record, our own library of stuff we've done, past histories, and also how it relates to other people in their histories. So to tap into that, so many whale medicine people are able to tap into that. So if you wish to think about it for yourself, then put on some whale music in the background and meditate with that to open up, whatever ancient records you have locked into you. Only later, when they receive confirmation, do they begin to understand how or why they understand what they do, or what they know, or why they received the impressions they got. Whale medicine teaches us to use the sounds and frequencies that balance our emotional bodies and heal our physical forms. I think that's an important sentence right there. If you're feeling rough or whatever or something, put on some mellow music, put on something that's healing. I have tried the different sound frequencies, like for seizures and stuff like that. A couple of those sounds actually make me nauseated. I can only take them for a short period. Not everybody feels balanced with the same thing, because each of us have our own frequencies. But with that said, find something that feels healing if you need it, and use that versus, well, somebody told me to listen to this and this is going to fix me. Maybe not, because we're all different, is my point. To recall why the shaman's drum brings healing and peace is to align with whale's message. The drum is the universal heartbeat and aligns all beings heart to heart. Before the advent of speech and primordial language, hand signs were used, and many tribes were silent most of the time. The language that was understood was the sounds of the great spirits, other creatures, the animals. If you pulled the whale card, you are being asked to tap into those records and allow yourself to be sung to by those who have the original language, the animals. We are the only creatures who do not have our own unique cry or our own unique call. Find yours. Allow your voice to use this sound to release tension or emotion. Whale signals a time of finding your origins, of seeing your overall destiny is coded in your DNA, and of finding the sounds that will release those records for you. You may never be the same again. After all, you are the melody of the universe, and the harmony is the song of all other creatures. In using your voice to open up your memory, you are expressing your uniqueness and your personal sound. As you open to this uniqueness, the animals that are your 9 totems may then send their sound or calls to you or through you. This will open up your personal records so that you may further explore your soul's history and commune with Whale, who carries the history of us all. Now, it was upside down. I got to read this too, but it's short. If Whale has beached itself in your cards, the contrary medicine implies that you are not following your sonar or your homing device. On some level, you have forgotten that you hold all the answers you need to survive, to grow, and to claim the power of your chosen destiny. And I can see why this is upside down, because I think with all the chaos in the universe, our sonar is our instinct, and our instinct is being disshredded. We don't know what's right, wrong, true, false. And so on some level, you have forgotten that you hold all the answers you need to survive, to grow, and to claim the power of your chosen destiny, because you're being distracted with everything else. It may be that you are having to deal with a lot of chatter in your head. I should have read the next paragraph. And cannot get your personal records. If so, you may need to use other sounds to enter the silence. The drum or the rattle, the Indian flute, or the sounds of Mother Nature may help. The call of the whale is the lullaby of the tides. Rock yourself gently and float into the world of the sea. Flow with the waters of time and collect your answers. That's important. Don't look for anybody else's. Somebody else said something about something. That's their record. Look only for yours, your answers. They are the only truth that will lead you to your personal pathway of knowing. Contrary well is saying to you that you must desire to know. You must seek the whale song within you. In hearing whales call, you'll connect to the ancients on a cellular level. And then as you relax into the flow of the song's rhythm, you'll begin to open your unique library of records. It may not come all at once. It may take practice, but if you hold the desire to know close to your heart, it will be Whale's gift to you. Look to the great star nation and send gratitude to Sirius for the song of the whale. In other words, talk to the aliens.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that it was a really good one. You know, Michelle Can-Am says everything you will ever need is already inside you, and that's kind of what I was saying. You know, you're concentrating on the world around you so much that you've forgotten what the world is that you really came from and what it's all about. So yeah,
Well, you're
yeah, I like
trying
that.
to, I say you're trying to be quiet, but I mean, in the universe, you're trying to think, and the neighbor's dog won't quit freaking barking. You're trying to get to sleep, you got to wake up. And how it's hard to concentrate in the universe when trying to connect with your own feelings or energies, or to learn to connect with what some folks call the Akashic record. It's just it's the quantum field. It's always around us. It's everywhere, and we just accept it and receive it and learn how to interpret it. But so if there's so much noise, we can't hear it. We can't hear the expression is, it's so loud I can't hear myself think. And that's it. So, and it doesn't have to be noise, but there's so much confusion and energy out there. The energy in the universe right now, those people who believe this, there's 10 million people who believe this, that energy's floating around out there, and if you happen to pick it up, then you're, 10 million and one or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But, so anyway,
right now is a lot of negative energy out there.
Right. And so we aren't being affected by it. So we can't allow ourselves to get sucked up into it,
Yeah.
Now, owl is number 21, and it's deception. So one of the things we can all agree on is that there's a lot of pretty much the whole planet is being deceived. But, it's something that I think some people, they're like, really don't want to pay attention. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't know if I should get involved. Well, it's not that you should get involved, but you really ought to just pay attention, because, you might be next in line, meaning that there's something that you should at least listen to pay attention, because you went, wait a minute now, what did that person just say? Wait a minute. And it might be that, they're fixing to close down the town or whatever. Anyway, owl, magic, omens, time and space. Does the truth emerge? Casting out deception, silent flight, the sacred medicine bird. Now, we've read owl many times. Owl medicine is symbolically associated with clairvoyance, astral projection, and magic, both black and white. Owl is called night eagle, and we've talked about eagle before, and owl is the night eagle. And on several medicine wheels used by Amerindian teachers. Traditionally, owl sits in the east. It's the morning. It's the place of illumination. Since time immemorial, humanity has been afraid of the night, the dark, and the unseen, waiting fearfully for the first crack of morning light. Conversely, night is owl's friend. Now, as I'm thinking about this, humanity has been afraid of the night, of the dark, and the unseen. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, like, are we going to war? Are we all going to die? And that's the unseen. Okay. So, well, none of this fits me. None of us can see what this, stuff's going on. And it involves all of humanity, So we ought to, like an owl, keep your eye open. How owl hunts its prey at night. Not only can owl see in the dark, it can also accurately pinpoint and identify any sound. This gives it a great advantage when seeking food, as they're night hunters. There are a lot of native peoples who are fearful of owl and call its feathers deceiver feathers. An owl feather is silent. You cannot hear owl when it flies, but its prey definitely knows when its talons get into their skin. Owl is oftentimes the medicine of sorcerers and witches. They're associated with dark arts, and we all know to stay away from that. If you have owl medicine, These night birds will have a tendency to collect around you, even in the daytime, because they recognize the kinship with you. Now, also, there is a connection. One reason why they call me Hawkeye, and I have owl is my nighttime totem. So the daytime would be hawk with owl, okay, and eagle. Is it any wonder in many culture owl is a symbol for wisdom? This is because owl can see that which others cannot. So with all this chaos and confusion, keep an eye out, which is the essence of true wisdom. Where others are deceived, owl sees and knows what is there. If owl is your personal medicine, no one can deceive you about what they are doing, no matter how they try to disguise or hide it from you. So if you're wondering whether or not something is true, ask owl to help you see through the deception. You may be a little frightening to be around if you're owl, and folks might be able to try to deceive you about what they are doing. No matter how they try to disguise it or hide it from you, you can see right through it. If you are unaware of your medicine power, if you have owl as a totem, you may take your keen insights and abilities for granted. Others never do. You may frighten others and reflect their blindness, for you cannot be fooled. So if you're wondering whether or not you're being deceived, ask owl. Owl medicine people know more about an individual's inner life than that person knows about herself or himself. If you pull the owl card, you're being asked to use your powers of keen, silent observation to intuit some type of life situation. Owl can bring you messages in the night through dreams or meditation. Pay attention to the signals and omens. The truth always brings further enlightenment. Now, this is the contrary. If you have owl medicine upside down in your cards, you have been greatly deceived by either yourself or another. Perhaps witchcraft or black magic is being used against you, or maybe you are using witchcraft or sorcery to aid you when you should be praying and asking the Great Spirit for guidance. And I got to say, there are a lot of people out there looking for shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. There are repercussions every time you try to use a shortcut. If somebody says, oh, use this little spell, or, this ain't gonna hurt nothing, don't do it, please. Because you should be praying and asking the Great Spirit for guidance. The message is to befriend the darkness inside you. Look deeply, and soon that bright light of dawn will illuminate within you. Then ask yourself, what are you in the dark about? How and by whom are you being deceived? Have you lied to yourself about someone or something or a situation? Or are you being greatly deceived or just slightly deceived? Owl tells you to keep an eye on your property and your loved ones. Remember that owl is always asking, who? So there you go, deception, but wonderful with the whale. I mean, owl medicine is not a bad thing. There are folks who wish they had, boy, I wish I could tell the future. Ask owl.
Ask owl.
And be careful what you wish for. Sometimes it ain't no fun.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right. Believe it or not, we've done another hour.
Well, an hour and 45, but
it was well worth it. Every minute of it tonight. I tell you, it was
it was a hoot.
It was a hoot. I love it.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I don't know. Well, you make up your mind if you're going to do a show tonight. I'm sure somebody will join you because they were talking about Isby was asking earlier. He was also asking, sees the bandage in your hand if you don't want to tell anybody, but they're asking what's wrong with your hand.
Oh, I, thank God I didn't get whacked in the head.
Ah,
Me and my friend walking through the woods right out back, and I'm checking it out because we had 4 inches of rain. There's a lot of water, and I wanted to see where the water was coming into the property.
hmm.
And so I'm hopping between little mounds and water, trying just not to just walk in the water, which I ended up doing anyway. So I stepped over to another tree and put my hand on this little barky thing about yay big around, but about 25 feet tall. And I went, holy crap, that thing's rotten. And so I stopped, and it was right next to another tree. And I was like, I better not touch that. That puppy will be coming down on me. So I was fixing to go take a large step to the next little island and hop skipping through the swamp. And I turned around, I thought, nah, I better push this thing over now or it'll surprise me. All I did was give it this slight little push. The top broke out and came down and slapped me on my arm and my hand. And I'm telling you, I thought it was broken. I mean, ow. And I've got to have it wrapped up because between these 2 fingers here and on my hand and everything and down it landed like flat, like
Hmm.
somebody took a big stick and just slapped me on my arm and hand. And it hurts.
Yeah,
Quite frankly, it hurts.
I totally agree with you.
Has
I,
slowed me
I
down.
I was a woodcutter for many years out there cutting tons of trees, and the most times I ever got hurt was from trees coming from the branches coming down from above.
Yep.
And I mean, I always got out of the way of the butt of the tree, figuring that it'd kick back and hit me in the head, or I'd chop my leg off with a chainsaw or something stupid, put my hand in the blade, but nope. But I got a scar on is it this side? One of this side, I think it is. Somewhere over here, I got a scar where a branch came down and just cut me right off. Yeah, it's terrible.
In the tree felling business, they call them widowmakers.
Yeah.
Pieces that fall out. And I mean, I didn't really appreciate it hitting me on the hand.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad because it was this far from hitting me on the head. I don't need any more concussion.
Oh, if they would have hit you on the head,
slap out.
It would have, it might have killed you too. You never know.
I honestly thought there was a bone in my hand, the top of my wrist broken, but it ain't. It's just really sore. I'm really, really lucky. Again, one could argue that maybe they could have pushed me out of the way and I wouldn't have got smacked with the tree anyway. But the fact that it wasn't worse, I'll take that.
Well, maybe it was just the fact that they did push you out of the way and didn't hit you in the head.
That's my point. I'll take it.
So, exactly.
I didn't get hit in the head. They hit me in the hand. I'll take it. I'm good.
Yeah. Everybody is saying they're sending you healing energy. Well, there you go.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's sore, but I'm going to live. It's one of them things that you just, didn't really plan on. And the more I've tried to use my hand, I'm like, nah, it just needs to put it down for a day.
Take it easy.
It rest.
I'm just glad it didn't hit you in the head and you're here tonight,
Me too.
Yes.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you.
It's the way it is. Anyway, now remember, everybody, we got Thursday coming up. And we got the Lost Book of King Og with Isby, who's coming on. And on Saturday, we got Grandpa Brian, who's going to come on and talk about Reiki again and other things. And I know this is going to be a good one, but I got some books on Atlantis. And I'm hoping that I can find somebody out there that would like to come on. And if you're interested in Atlantis, would you like to do a show with me? So I'm putting that out there for y'all. I'm going to be searching around for somebody who wants to do a show about Atlantis. I got this new book. Oh man, this is nope, that's not that one. This one here, Lost Civilizations, and then I got another book coming. But anyhow, it's all about Atlantis and stuff like that. So that should be really interesting. So if you want to come on and talk about Atlantis with me, and some things and I know some things, I think it'd be a great subject. So
if you can't find anybody, I'll come sit in.
Oh, all right. That sounds good. Like I said, I got I love Atlantis, just a fascinating thing. You know what I mean?
And where is it?
Yeah, where is it? Where is it? So anyway, it shall be good. Everybody, I will see you on Thursday. I got a short coming out on Wednesday, so you guys will have to pay attention to that. I hope you like the shorts that I've been doing. Yes, there you go. Yeah, give me a thumbs up and check David Null out. He'll be on probably a little while, and if not in a little while, tomorrow or the next day for sure. And you'll find him out all night long. And no matter if you can't sleep, you'll be there.
Well, I'll tell you, usually when I get done with Robert here on Tuesday nights, I'm like, can't sleep. So I will probably go get coffee and come back and do something, right after the top of the hour kind of thing. So thank you, Robert. Mm-hmm. We love you all out there. Thank you so much. I know there's some folks who are sick and ailing. We all send our prayers and love to you too as well, that you get better and feel better. I think Chloe was under the weather. So, yeah. And other folks too, but so healing prayers to all y'all out there, and keep up the good work.
That's right. And remember, be the frequency you want to receive. Love you all, everybody. Peace.
Cheers.
There we go. Another show.